What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're making Budae Jjigae. The food was so I'm gonna show you the ingredients that we need for Budae Jjigae, but to explain what Budae Jjigae is, it actually translates to army soup or army base soup if you translated it. Therefore, people think, oh, this is maybe what Korean people eat in the army since Korea has a mandatory conscription. Oh, this is probably what the people in the army eat. But actually, that's not it. Where Budae Jjigae originated from, or where the army soup originated from, was back in the days during the 40s and 50s, before the Korean War, after the Japanese colonization period and all that. Korea was a very poor country. And what happened was they would have to take ingredients of the US Army base. So they would get the leftovers and whatever they had. And that was a stew. And that was over like 60 years ago, 70 years ago. Nowadays, it's actually a very common food that people eat. They'll eat it during lunch, they'll eat it during dinner, they'll eat it when they're drinking. But these are the basic ingredients that I'm going to go through with you today. You can actually put pretty much anything you want in there, but there are basic staples to make it. First, we'll start with the meats. The meats, I'm using actually two different kinds of sausages. This is just a frank, for the hot dog. This is a cheddar frank, which has cheese inside of it. I got a slab of ham. I got a little piece of Spam. I got an onion. I got some garlic. I got some green onions. I have some kimchi. I have a can of baked beans. A slice of cheese. A square of tubu or tofu. And what I'll be using for the sauce is basically some mirin, some soy sauce, some doenjang, some gochujang, some enoki mushrooms, and this is just a beef stock. What we want to do first is we want to get our meats ready. I have a slab of ham. It's sliced, but I'm just gonna cut it 1, 2, 3 times like that. We'll add that to our meat bowl. I'll take our Spam and just cut a few slices. For our sausage, I'm just gonna cut it into thin, long pieces. And for our other sausage, I'll cut it a little different, just so I can tell the difference between which sausage is which. You can tell this is the cheese sausage. Like when I slice into it, you can actually see the cheese in there. Now for our vegetables, I'm going to use a whole onion. Our green onions. There's really no set way that you have to cut it. Because back in the day when the Korean people were starving in a time of poverty, I don't think the aesthetics of the food was so important. But nowadays, if you go into the Budae Jjigae restaurants, of course, it comes out nicely. You know, it comes out all pretty and aesthetically pleasing. For the garlic, what we want to do is we want to mince them. And last but not least, I got some hot pepper. And for the enoki mushrooms, just need to cut off the roots. Just take out a portion. I mean, depending on how many people you're cooking for, you can actually use the whole thing. For the sauce, I'm going to be using 2 spoons of gochujang. And then 1 spoon of doenjang. And then I'm going to take a spoon of soy sauce. I'm going to put a little bit of mirin in there, which is just basically cooking wine. You can say about a tablespoon. And then last but not least, you can use sugar, but I'm going to use allulose or however you say it. Just going to put a tablespoon of that in there. I'm going to tap it off with some black pepper. Give that a good mix. And this will be the base mixture for our soup. Put some oil in there. As soon as it gets hot, I'm going to put the garlic in there. Once the garlic starts cooking and you can start smelling the aromatic flavor, we're going to put all the meats in there. Once the meats are in, we're going to put in our kimchi. Once the kimchi starts to cook, we'll put in all our veggies except for the enoki mushrooms. We'll put in our green onions and white onions. We'll put in our peppers. Because this is going to keep cooking, once we put the broth in, we just want to release the flavors. Now we put in our bone broth. The bone broth was about 500 milliliters. I'm going to add about 200 more of just water. After that, I'll add in the sauce that we made before. Now we're going to put in the baked beans. What I did is I put in about 3 udon spoonfuls of baked beans in here. And I know you must be wondering, like, why are there baked beans in a Korean soup? But due to the time when Budae Jjigae was actually made, as I mentioned before, most of the ingredients they got it from the US Army bases. Therefore, canned goods like Spam, beans, baked beans, they were in such high demand because Korea was very poor at that time, and anything that was canned, preserved, lasted long, and tasted good was in demand. Once it comes to a boil, we're going to slice up the tofu and place that in there. Split up the enoki mushrooms. And we'll put this in there as well. Now I'm gonna turn down the heat just a little bit, and we're gonna let that cook for about 15 to 20 minutes. And last but not least, we're gonna put a slice of cheese in there. I think back in the days, Korea made fusion Korean food much way faster than they do nowadays, right? But I guess it's just a sign of the times. You know, you adjust to what you got. You got to do what you got to do. You got to eat what you got to eat. You know what I mean? And there we go. Just like that, our Budae Jjigae is done. Oh my God. The flavor is so complex, however, so well balanced. Fusion Korean food at its best. Now, usually people will put in noodles from the ramen. We call it sari. And they will cook that and they will cook it pretty al dente and they'll eat it like that. Or you can eat this with rice and then put in the noodles at the end, depending on, it's just your preference. But it's so good. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave me a like, a comment, and subscribe. I have a whole new series of different foods, different activities, all my ventures throughout Korea in Seoul, hopefully worldwide soon. So stay tuned. I'll see you guys in the next one.